Good morning, friends. We have been exploring the mysterious territory of love for last few days, and I believe it's time that we move on to the next step when it comes to love. Uh, we talked about it that we will divide this love into three different parts. One is about how to find the love, and then about what are the reasons of unhappiness in people's relationships and what we can do to eliminate them. So I was saying primarily there are two different kinds of situations. One situation is where there is a couple is already in relationship for several years, but then it looks like over the period of time this relationship is fading away. Something, the love, the juice is going away. Some people like to call it there is no more fire in our relationship. And then there is yet another situation where people, they feel love for each other, they have extreme passion, but for some reason they also have extreme emotional dramas like high peaks and low trenches. So today I'm going to address these two situations, and again we will not be able to cover this entire topic in one video, so we extend it to 2 days. I would like to begin with something about love. It's always nice every time to come up with a new definition of love or some. Really, we cannot define love, but an angle to see what is love. So, while in our common, communication, we use terminologies like "I love him," "I love her," "I love my child," "I love my mother," whatever you say, I love something, right? So it looks like in order to love, we need someone to give our love to someone, like someone, there has to be some trigger for our love to flow to them. So that's why, there are limited people we love, and there are a big number of people who fall out of our circle of love, which we cannot say we love them. But anyways, my point was that we say that I love this or I love that. Now, whether any kind of love it is, whether it is romantic love or it is pure brotherly sisterly love or the love between friends or love between family members, it doesn't matter. It looks like any kind of love requires someone else. But if you look at the reality, when you say I love him or I love her, what you are essentially meaning is that the presence of this person or the thought of this person makes me feel good. Like, love, even if it looks like it is about another person, that I love someone, but in fact it is the presence of a person or the presence of thought of a person that makes us feel something within ourselves. So whenever we say we love someone, it is not about them, it is about how the other person makes us feel. Now look at the people you love and the people you don't love. This is the primary difference. The people you love, any kind of love, the people you love in their presence or when you have a thought about them, you feel good. Something like, I don't know, maybe some juices, this neurotransmitters are released in your body. I don't know the chemical, changes that happen in the body, but the fact is that their presence makes you feel good. And the people you don't love, in their presence or when you think about them, you don't have any such reaction within yourself. So essentially, when you say I love someone, it is about how that person makes you feel about yourself. So once again, if you see, like everything else, it is always about ourselves. When we love someone and when we want someone, when we desire a particular person, that is also because somewhere that person's presence or the thoughts about them make us feel good about ourselves, and that's why we desire them more. So, well, this is not any new great revelation, but this is simply a reminder of a fact that uh, in the end, what we call love is not about another person, it is about us. And some people trigger that reaction within our body mind, in our energy body. And that's why we feel we love them, and that's totally fine. This doesn't change anything. Uh, but this is just a reminder, and that is the reason, like, people say love is not rational, it is irrational. That's because in some people's presence we feel good, so we love them. In other people's presence we don't, and there is no logical explanation. I mean, it is not that we can only love someone who is very beautiful or someone who is very handsome. No, it could happen to anyone. It is about there is some energetic mechanism. That person's energy triggers some reaction in your energy body, and this is what we call love. That's why love is not rational, and that's why it is very difficult to analyze love or to break it down into some, to dissect love. Anyway, so the question today we are going to address is, why does this love, the feeling of love, eventually fades over years in a relationship? Why people feel that there is no juice left, no fire left, and then why some of us feel that there is intense passion at times but then intense pain at other times, and what we can do about that. Well, friends, when it comes to the fading of love, when people feel that they have lived together for several years, when they started with some great love between them, they felt like they have found the right person for them with whom they want to spend the rest of their life, and what happens on the way after 2 years or 5 years or 10 years, and this love fades away. Why so many separations? Why so many problems? Why so much unhappiness in people who actually started from great love? Well, you can find so many different causes, as it were. Like, for example, one of the most common cause we can say is that when people live together, in the beginning they don't know each other, so there is this unexplored territory. Like, you're trying to know this person, and that the process of knowing, process of finding new things, discovering new things about that person is so exciting. And over a period of time it feels like, now I know this territory, now I know this person. Like, there is not much interesting left about him, anything, or her. It's like, how even if a movie is great, even if a movie is very interesting, how many times are you going to watch it? Maybe 10 times, maybe 20 times, but you are living with this person for so many years. So every second you spend with this person, it's like you already know this movie. Now, I'm not saying it is right to have this feeling. What I'm saying is that, but this is what many people feel. When they talk to me in consultation, this is how they describe that. It looks like I know him, like there is nothing new to discover about him, and that's it. My passion drops, For some, this is the issue. And you see, this is what I have also noticed. Like, sometimes clients would come to my consultation and say that, when I'm in a social gathering, or when I go to other places, when I look at another woman who is not my wife, even a small accidental touch with that person can give me some exciting shivering inside me. And here I am with my wife for so many years, and we have a lot of possibilities of intimacy, but it is not the same intimacy. The level of, excitement is not the same. And again, the reason they describe is because it feels like, this is an explored territory. The fun, the thrill is in unexplored territory. That's why people feel more excitement with strangers, and not so much when they are with the person whom they have lived so many years. And if you remember, we had this one video where I was talking about one of the biggest uh, causes of our suffering is that we start taking things for granted. This is exactly what happens here also in personal relationships. When you start living with someone for several years, after a while, you start taking their presence for granted. When you start taking someone for granted, that person or that thing loses its capacity to excite you or to make you feel alive, lively. Now, we already established that what is love? Love is when, it is not about another person. It is about when for some reason the presence of a person makes us feel good about ourselves. Now, when we start taking another person for granted, their presence no longer makes us feel what it used to make us feel earlier. So this is one of the things that that drains, that kind of, because of which all this passion and love fades away in couples. But then there is another reason, and this is very, a very common reason I find, and that is, I would say, accumulation of past. That's true. When you do not meet, when you are meeting someone for the first time, or when you have met them only few times, there is not enough. The two of you have not spent enough moments together. So, because you have a limited exchange between you, there is no accumulation of past. For you, it's like a fresh person, a fresh territory. But when you start living with them, when when you move from the stage of dating to the stage of relationship, to live together under one roof, eventually you start to share not moments, you start to share days and months and years together. And with every moment passing, you are now sharing a common past. And by common past, I don't mean only the sharing of the moments or the moments that you have spent together. Common past, the accumulation of common past is an energetic thing. What happens is that when we are living with someone for a long period, we come across difficulties, we come across problems together, we come across arguments, we come across conflicts. Now, there is a tendency to not resolve them as they arise. For some reasons, people, maybe because of some fears, people, instead of resolving this conflicts or doing something about that, they kind of hold on to this energy. And in the first year, it is very less. It's like this is another different mountain. First, there was the mountain of your own past, which we talked about, and now this is a new one which is being generated in the relationship. In the first few days, there is nothing. Then, in the first year, there is a very small one. You are still holding some small little things. But as you live longer and longer together, in most couples, this mountain becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. This is the mountain of the energy that we have held. And that's why a lot of couples, they love when they have the possibility to count on to. You see, last time you did this. I didn't say anything. You have been there. I'm sure you have been there. If you have ever lived with someone, you have been there. And when I say that, when I'm talking about this consciousness and this creating wonderful relationships and finding your values, well, friends, I do not mean I am myself a resolved person. I have my own moments of dramas. I have my own moments where I lose my consciousness. But then, when I realize that I have lost it, I try to do something about that. Anyways, my point is that this happens to everyone. It has happened to me. It must have happened to you. That because we are holding this energy, when we come come across an unbearable situation, we will blast and we will bring all the past incidents about the energy that we have held from the past incidents, and we will throw it back to that person. So this accumulation of past is also a dangerous thing, which is, I believe, because of which people, they are not able to see the person in reality, and in the end, when this mountain becomes bigger and bigger, it blocks our view of that person. It blocks us from experiencing the same kind of feelings and love that we used to experience in their presence. It is wrong to say that my love for this person has dropped. The truth is, now the presence of this person does not trigger in me the same kinds of feelings that were triggered earlier. So again, it's all about me. But why it does not trigger anymore? Because of the accumulated past. Now, then there is another reason. You can count so many different reasons, like accumulation of past and this taking things for granted, familiarity or boredom. But all of these are not the problems. All of these are only the symptom of the real problem. And if you try to do something directly about them, it will not work much, because the real problem is not that we take them for granted. The real problem is not that there is accumulation of past. There is something else which causes that, and that something else, my friends, is lowering of our consciousness. For whatever reason, have you noticed, when you are in the first phase of dating someone and you like this person, it is as if you are very, very conscious, you are very, very aware about every small detail. You remember all those meetings and you are in a very aware state. After a while, the sense of familiarity with someone, and this I believe, when you feel, okay, now I know this guy, now I know this, that alertness, that consciousness drops, and then you are taken over by your ego mechanism. Before, in the early stage, we still have the ego, but we don't want the ego to come up, and we try to behave more consciously, and we try to put on our best version of ourselves. But then later on, whatever reasons, the consciousness drops and we start losing that alertness, and that is when the boredom, this unresolved past and all of this creep on in that moment. So the solution lies not in trying to if you have a tree which is giving bad fruits, you can remove every bad fruit all the time, and still the tree will keep on giving you bad fruits, because the problem is not with the fruit, the problem is at the roots, and the roots here are our level of consciousness. So friends, of course there are more reasons to the problems between man and a woman relationship, and I'm going to deal with them tomorrow. Let's see what we can do to remove the cause of this unconsciousness, the roots, which is unconsciousness, which creates all these different problems like boredom and familiarity and loss of passion and accumulation of past. So what are the things we can do? Here are two things I would suggest to you. So if there is one thing people can do to come out of this passionless relationships, or to deal with the situation where the love starts fading away, I believe is to do something to stop the accumulation of the past between these two people. And the only solution here is resolve. Every time an argument or a conflict comes, please do not hold on to the energy. It is okay if you hold on until you find the right moment to communicate, because it is also important that you must be heard, and you can only be heard when your partner is in the base state, not in the state of emotional drama themselves. So yes, it is okay to wait for the right moment, but without resolving, you are holding this energy, and every time you hold this energy, this is adding a rock to the already existing mountain within you. And you remember, we already talked about that. Some of you liked that example about me and my friend driving in Austria, and the one wheel of the car got punctured. So you know that if this wheel, the area of relationship, if that is punctured, trust me, for adults, this is the biggest cause of pain in their life. I mean, some unhappiness coming in the personal life area. So there is no solution. You have to resolve, because if you don't resolve, you are accumulating, and there is no end to this accumulation. Tell me one thing: do you not brush your teeth every day? Do you not take bath every day? Well, at least most people do. Now, if even the physical body smells bad and the mouth smells bad, if you don't clean it once a day, at least once a day, there are people who will take bath twice in hot countries like in India. In Mumbai, you have to have twice a day bath, because when you go out, you need to be fresh. When you come back, you are so dirty and smelly, you need to take the bath again. So my point is, even if the physical body gets dirtier after one day of not bathing or brushing the teeth, what happens to our emotional energy system? What happens to our inner body? Resolution is like taking the bath. It is like letting go of what is not needed. And I'm not saying resolution is going to be easy. Sometimes you will need to talk difficult things. Sometimes you will need to bring up very uncomfortable topics. But yet, in the end, resolution will bring you peace and happiness. And I remember there was a question from Victoria Montes about in the context of the video, where I said that you should see the people as they are, not from the past, right? And she said that, but now I am confused what to do if a man is abusive to his wife, if a husband is abusing his wife, should she still forget that and look at him like he's a person? Yes, but then if he is abusing you, why don't you do something about this? If a man abuses a woman, to respond to that, to do something about that, to talk to them, or to remove yourself from that situation. If you know that this person is not going to respond to your communication, then maybe to remove yourself from that situation is the right possible choice. Do something. Who stops you from doing something to stop him or to remove yourself? So that is also part of resolution. So of course, when you resolve, it will be much easier to see someone as they are. That is why, my friends, have you noticed when we meet new people in our life, we are more lighter with them. We are more, we find they are good people, or they are like, it's easy to communicate with them. And the more closer people, the more bitterness we hold on to them, because there is this accumulation of past, accumulation of unresolved past. So resolution is the solution. Start resolving from today. You might find the solution. You might be able to dissolve the mountain over a few months or few years. You will not have to wait for that. So that is the first thing, resolution. And the second thing which I was talking about is that we need to do something to maintain that alertness. Like, see, I said there are two main causes. One cause is accumulation of past, for that resolution. The other cause is when our consciousness level drops below a certain point and we start taking things for granted. Now, when that happens, when our consciousness level drops below a certain point, we allow the mind to take over. And mind is always looking for new experiences which are unexplored territories. And how long, I know people who would keep on changing partners again and again, or who are with one partner but still they are seeking for thrill with new partners outside. I mean, it's okay if it works, but does it really work? It will not work, because that mechanism of wanting to explore new territory, it has no end. So we have to come to a point where we find our known territory new all the time, and for that we need to stay in a state of alertness. That is what happens when you go and visit a new town or a new place. You haven't seen it, you are in high alertness, and that's why you enjoy it. And how do we do that? Well, friends, I would recommend you to include some form of meditation, some form of practice that raises your level of awareness. For example, I would like to share with you a very simple yet very powerful meditation that I find. I would like to share that with you here. For this meditation, all you need is to sit in a comfortable position, and again with closed eyes. The body is relaxed, but the spine is erect. If for some reason you are sick or ill and you want to lie down, it's okay, you can do even while lying down, but otherwise better to sit with closed eyes. All you have to do is, every time you breathe inside, in your mind say the word inhale. Inhale, whatever is the word for inhale in your language. Then every time you exhale outside, every time the breath goes outside, say the number 1, like count 1. Next breath, inhale. Next breath out, 2. Third breath, inhale. Third breath out, 3. So every time you take the breath inside, use the word inhale. Every time you breathe outside, keep on counting from wherever you are, like 1, 2, 3, whatever the number of that breath is. Now, here is the thing. Many people, they will, it looks like very simple, but many people, they will not be able to even reach the count of 20. Before they reach the count of 20, they will be like, which was the number? Because at some point, they don't know where the mind went. Mind went on some thought train, some story. So that's okay. That's very good. When you realize that you are not here, you have the opportunity to come back here. So the moment you realize that you are not sure of what was the number for this exhalation, it means your focus has gone from the breath to somewhere else. So start all over again, start again from 1. Now, how do you know that you are doing good? If you can reach the count of 30 without doubting any particular number, it means you have enough, you have the potential, you have reached a stage where you are easily able to maintain a particular level of awareness and focus. Now, when you do this practice, over a period of time, this practice will give you a hang of what it means to be alert and conscious. And then you can bring this awareness, this consciousness, while you are interacting with people. So let's say when you are interacting with someone, you can also have a little bit of your consciousness or awareness on the breath itself. So the breath keeps you here and now with the person. And when you are with a person here and now, no person is the old person. Everyone is new every moment. It is only in our mind that they are old. You know, it's a cliche, but as they say, you never step in the same river twice. It's like when you step in the river, the water is flowing. So next time when you put the next foot in the river, it is already a new river. Same is true with people. Every moment they are new, but we don't have the eyes to see them new. So this practice, this meditation will eventually increase your level of awareness and consciousness and give you the ability to maintain that alertness, so that you find juiciness and newness in the people, in the person with whom you are in relationship. And when there is this alertness, many problems like boredom, familiarity, known territory, all of they will be gone, because they were present in the first place because we were not conscious enough. Well, friends, I believe this will be enough for today. I'll be back tomorrow with the last video about relationships. I'm sorry, probably not today, but after the weekend topics, because in weekends we might have one video from the meeting in Riga, or and also we will be taking one question from someone from the past, people who have posted. So whenever the next schedule, we will take the last video for the area of relationship. Any questions by that time, please feel free to post under this video, because I still haven't made the video for the weekend question answers, so your question might get into that, and we might include that one as well. So I wish all of you great day. Thank you very much.